Here we go, our first author reading contest initiative. Since it's the first one, there's still going to be a lot of things we need to flesh out, and I hope we flesh it out as a community. So for right now, this is what I think we do. Choose any free write you like for right now. Maybe later we have particular prompts, but for right now, choose any free write you like. And, feel free to edit, to make it better. Feel free to practice reading it and make a reading of your free write somehow on a video. If you don't want to show your face, or if it doesn't, if you think it's too boring, go ahead and add pictures. If you want to add background music, go for it. But make sure that the pictures are your own or that they're in the public domain, so you're actually allowed and basically that you have permission to use them. So same with any kind of music, it needs to be pod safe. It needs to be explicitly permission given that you can use it in an online forum, platform, and so forth. And really look for the permissions, because a lot of them, you can use them for one thing but not for another. So you want to make sure it's permissible to use. Okay? Here's the thing. I would love to pick from those author readings and eventually have a podcast going from those and with some other elements to it, to really give our writers a much, much larger audience than we have right now. So that's all in the planning, but whatever we do, we might as well plan to have it be for, all kinds of other purposes as well. Here is my process when I do it. I use my phone to do the reading. I set it up as a tripod, so it can be very inexpensively to be had for under $10, or you can just kind of figure out your own. But you want to have the phone as stable as possible to have the least amount of movement. If you can, use a microphone, because background noises are going to be disturbing in the end, and it cuts down on the quality of your reading. So if you're outside, sometimes it's unavoidable. Like I'm right now outside and I'm using my headphones, and it has a little microphone on it, as you can see. So if you use this kind of microphone, you want to make sure that it doesn't rub against clothing. You also want to make sure that there's not too much of a wind, or a siren might be going by. All of those background noises, you have to be the judge what your environment is like, if it's okay to use for the reading. Now, if you, for example, do a story which plays in the inner city, having city background noise might add to the story, but if that is not the case, it might be disturbing. If you're inside, you want to make sure that you don't have a heater kicking in or an AC unit going, that your washing machine or dishwasher is not running at the same time. Those are sounds we forget about having in our environment because we're so used to them, but they really come out in a recording. If you have headphones like I'm using, this is Apple earbuds, and the microphone is pretty good, but I used my husband's before and the sound was terrible. So always do a little bit of a check to see where you can get the best sound. Sometimes it helps to sit in your closet. That's a podcaster's tip. Now in video that might be a little bit weird, so make sure you have some kind of background going. You saw that I was in front of a bush for part of it. Now I'm in front of a wall. It gives you an idea what backgrounds will look like. If your background is really busy, like if you're moving, like I'm moving around right here, but that kind of distracts from what I'm saying. So that's kind of okay if you do a spot video, but as you do the readings, you might want to be more, now I forgot the word, purposeful about your background. So my process is when I'm doing a reading to record it, then I bring it, and I have an iPhone, so this is the only tech help I can give you, or tech advice, or whatever you want to call this. So on my iPhone, I do the recording. Then I have to bring it into iMovie, and I airdrop it to my laptop, because iMovie on the phone has much less options than the movie app on my laptop. So I'm cutting out boo-boos, and this is what I do. When I read and I do some wrong, I stop, I turn off the video, and then I start it again. And I find a place where it flows to start again, so then I can make a cut right there. Okay? A little bit of misspeaking is fine, but if you have a lot of reading mistakes in there, it distracts, so you might want to go back and just, it actually helps, especially with a short piece, to read it a couple of times out loud, and then it's easier to read it without making too many mistakes. Okay, so in iMovie, I cut out what I need to cut out. I put transitions in. I add an ending, and so we could put like the tags in the ending. Right now, I'm thinking we're saying also reading. So there was a mistake, right? And I might not cut it out, but I could. So we say also reading Family 77, One Love to DTube. Then I upload the whole thing to YouTube, and it comes automatically through iMovie. I can upload it to YouTube. Then from there, you can make it public, you can make it private, you can make it unlisted. So if I have it to my own account, I might keep it public. I go into the YouTube studio and choose video, and then I download an MP4 file from there. So what I found with the iMovie, it doesn't give me the option to turn it in MP4, and whatever file format it spits out, it's really big and it's very hard to upload to DTube. So first, uploading it to YouTube gives you a YouTube version, and I get back to that later. Then you can download it from there into an MP4 file. Now Cam from One Love DTube told me that he uses an incognito window on Chrome to get into DTube, and that's what I've been doing. Maybe it would just work if you open a new window for that. I don't know. He told me incognito. I've been doing it and it has worked great. So I log into DTube from there, do my upload of the MP4 file, and I create a snap in Canva, which is a free program. You can download that. I use 800 by 450, and you title it however you want to have your title on there, and you upload that, the thumbnail. Then when you have all of that published, well, you have your video in, you have your thumbnail in. I write some text, and I do include now a link to YouTube in there for two reasons. Some people have a hard time viewing your stuff on DTube, and so if you have the YouTube version in there, it's easier. Also, your DTube is not going to stay there forever. Plus, both of those are platforms which don't belong to us. So either one of them can decide to get rid of your video, and DTube does it on a regular basis. And then when people come to it like a year later, they might still have the YouTube version, hoping that YouTube doesn't throw it out either. But having two is always better than one. That's my opinion. Plus, again, it gives you more exposure. DTube is for people which are on Steam, and then YouTube is for people which haven't made that jump yet. And somewhere in your video, you can have a link to invite people to join Steam. So it's another way to share our platform we want to, move forward on. So that done, then you take a link to this. So I would suggest that you use the tags Family 77 and One Love DTube, okay? Because that will help to get your upvotes from those two entities. One of them's the One Love DTube upvote, and one of them's the Nathan Mars upvote. Not guaranteed. Actually, in our case, the One Love DTube is guaranteed because that's part of our joint initiatives that you're getting an upvote from there. Then you take a link, drop it in the comment of the contest post, and that's that.